I'd like to start by indicating that the St. Lucia Development Bank had just completed its strategic review when the pandemic came. And in as much as we had identified that we were looking to be at the forefront of the transition of the economy to a green economy, COVID has actually made that even more relevant at this particular point in time. And also, the bank was looking to see how best it was going to align itself with all of the SDGs that have been adopted by the government of St. Lucia and is slowly being rolled out. You know, when we talk about the SDGs, we are talking about zero poverty, we're talking about zero hunger, we're talking about good health, we're talking about quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitary, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, in industrialization and infrastructure, innovation. We're talking about the reducing of inequalities. We're talking about sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land. We're talking about peace, justice, and strong institutions. We're talking about partnerships for the achievement of these goals. And if we look at these sustainable goals, they really form the crux of exactly what we are all trying to achieve collectively. So I'm pleased this morning to come and share with you our presentation on the Business Recovery Program, which is really the adaptation of the Climate Adaptation Facility that the bank had on offer. So I hope persons can see my screen at this present point in time. First of all, we would like to put on record our immense gratitude to those persons who made this possible. Primarily, the government of St. Lucia through the Ministries of Finance and Economic Development. I single out Mr. Tommy Descartes, who has been spearheading this with us. We also would like to say thanks to the World Bank, the Climate Investment Fund, the ACP, UN Natural Disasters Risk Reduction Program, and a multitude of others who have worked hard for us to get to the stage that we're at. As we all know, the Climate Adaptation Financing Facility was a loan facility that was provided to the government of St. Lucia as part of an overall larger program which was involved the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Program, DVRP. The program is a pilot program whereby we were provided with $5 million US dollars. 500,000 was to be used for technical assistance and 4.5 for concessionary loan funding to the people of St. Lucia. And primarily it was for climate proofing houses and businesses and looking to see how best we could manage storm waters and deal in the business of business continuity, climate smart agriculture, and energy efficiency systems. With that theme, we have been able to look closely and see how best we could have caused the repurposing of the Climate Adaptation Fund to be able to serve persons in their time of need, which is now. So with that said, we're just going to go through some of the basic information, but you will be able to contact us and we will be able to tailor our product, this particular product, to your needs. The objective of it is that it is a mixed facility, a loan and grant facility. You can't take one without the other. The intention is that the grant component will seek to incentivize persons to make that transition to the green economy and to access and adapt to climate smart technology. The intention is for the loans, which will be at concessionary financing interest rates, will be to provide liquidity support and to help recover and build resiliency in the various businesses. What are the terms that we are speaking of? So who will be eligible? The facility focuses on providing support to the MSME sector. The MSME sector has been defined whereby the micro businesses are businesses that employ less than 10 persons and have a revenue turnover of under $100,000. Small businesses would be defined by those businesses that employ between 10 and 50 employees and generate under $1 million in revenue. And then medium-sized businesses are businesses who employ between 50 to 250 persons, but generate less than $3 million. The persons we have had, I made a presentation to the St. Lucia Hotel and Tourism Association yesterday, and their question was for what happens to the businesses that are above that. We do have a separate product that we can facilitate some persons with. It may not necessarily be as this one is, meaning specifically for COVID response, but it does provide persons with an element of grant, which we can speak about as well, but later on. The businesses that we are targeted obviously have to indicate that they have been impacted by COVID. The reality is that it's not necessarily for startup businesses. It is for persons who have been impacted and have now gone through what we would refer to as a hibernation period. There may still be, with the second wave that we're now facing, the need for have a continued hibernation, but also for them to be able to meet some of their obligations. This is the intention of this particular facility. It is geared towards persons who are self-employed, and they are eligible beneficiaries. They must, however, be registered either with the chamber, be registered with the Hotel and Tourism Association, and or the Small Business Unit, SEDU. They must indicate that they have, pay their taxes and have a VAT /NIC number. We primarily wanted to be able to establish that the World Bank, who set a lot of these terms with us, indicated that we want to have proof that these persons are impacted. Now, the reality is that because of our size as an island nation who thrived as well on tourism, we can safely indicate that everyone has been impacted. I don't think this particular pandemic, the COVID-19, has spared anyone within our business community. Everyone has been impacted. What we are seeing is some people have been able to adjust, adapt, and now, yes, they may be thriving, but they were impacted. And it's easy for us to be able to look at your financial statements and to be in a position to identify that there has been a dramatic loss in revenue that will permit us to assist you. Grants shall only be used to support businesses' expenditures for which no other government support is available. We have to take that into consideration that, as I indicated in my discussion with persons yesterday at the St. Lucia Hotel and Tourism Association, as most of us, we have been on numerous conference calls with various organizations. I attended a conference call with a number, well, I think over 200 development banks in the world. And one of the things that they clearly identified, that none of us have sufficient funds and resources to fund the loss of revenue by the MSMEs. We can provide this support, but we cannot replace the lost revenue that would have incurred. What are the terms of this? Ideally, the terms look at preferential interest rates. We've actually been able to have reduce the starting rate for the better quality credits to 3.75%, but our range is 4.5 to 6.5. We will finance up to 90% of the cost of the project. We will provide 10 years. We will also give a grace period of 6 months, and the interest will be capitalized over that particular period of time. The purposes. When we look at what the purposes of what can it be used for, we want to be able to facilitate, as I indicated, the transition to the green economy. And we're looking to have persons build their resilience by developing business continuity plans, which we will be gladly to support. We're also looking for persons to undertake energy audits. We're looking to see if persons will be able to improve on their firm competitiveness, and this is fairly broad. And we can sit and discuss what that will entail for the different individual companies. But it is looking to support persons in terms of their working capital requirements, especially as I indicated, you coming out of the hibernation period and now looking to see how best you have modified your business model to be able to move forward. And you may need the support for repurchasing of your inventory, payroll assistance, and operating expenses, rents, and so on. We're also looking to see how best we could introduce new or diversification of existing products. We have heard, everybody speak about food security as being a key issue. So we have included in this facility the ability for persons, one, to do it on a personal basis, grow their own food, but also to be able to develop a business whereby they can start their agriculture production. We have developed models with Dr. Felix Jaria, who was the former director of agriculture. He has created a hydroponic kit that persons can be able to purchase. They can have it modified to the size of production that they would like to get into. But primarily it is for the production of lettuce, it's for the production of saive, and various other small crops that he has been able to achieve in his model. So we'll be happy to share those with persons as well. We're also looking to see how we can facilitate the upgrade of plant and equipment. We know that in these times, persons may be looking to see how best they can improve on their overall efficiency and may need to replace equipment, they may need to upgrade it, and this facility supports that. As I indicated, it is focused on improving food security, and if it is that your plan includes that, we will be glad to look at it. We also will provide the financing for the purchase of your personal protective equipment, the PPEs, which we know has been a strain on quite a number of us because we have had to implement quickly the constant use of hand sanitizers, the implementation of the actual machines, which persons that don't need to do too much, but just put their hands under it and it will be sprayed. We know that persons have to have the equipment. We're seeing that there will be a need, and it's something that I mentioned, that we have the capacity to look to see how we can facilitate, maybe collectively, the purchasing of the PCR testing equipment, which will facilitate the ease of movement of people into the island by having a test where they can get the results as quickly as within 24 hours. We are also looking to facilitate the retooling, the retraining of your team. Some persons may have now had to diversify, change their business model, and that will require some additional training. You may want to facilitate, if you have to downsize your business, training your employees to allow them now to have a smooth transition into their own entrepreneurial sphere. This may include, getting persons trained in various fields. We are working in collaboration with the South Louis Community College. We are working closely with the National Skills Development Center to develop programs. The National Skills Development Center, for instance, they have been running courses in crop production as well as electrical training for electricians. We have always been at the forefront trying to recommend what we see, where we see the need to build capacity and for gaps. There is a need for training for masons, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, so that as we move forward, we have these persons at our disposal to be able to build out the infrastructure in St. Lucia. The facility will also allow persons to achieve ISO and HACCP certification. standards that are required for you to now get into the export market. We are seeing persons who, because of their farms, have always been catering for the hotels. We have now persons who are probably oversupplying the market, and where there is a strong need to see if the produce can be exported, and having these certifications and standards will allow for that smooth transition to take place. We're looking to improve marketing and to be able to allow persons to access more markets locally, but also the export market. We're looking to see how best we can provide financing for projects in the creative industry sector. We know that a number of our entertainers, persons in the fashion industry, throughout the creative industries have been impacted. They now, most of them are doing virtual productions, but it's something that we are looking to see how best we can facilitate that transition for them to continue to make a livelihood. And of course, we are looking to see how best we can facilitate persons to move into more digitization technologies for their businesses. Right now, as you would notice, everybody is online. We have to have, the ability for the smaller firms to be able to take orders online, to be able to meet market demand, and to be able to see how best they can provide their service within the COVID environment and adhering to all of the protocols that have been established. What's available? The loans start at $25,000 and go up to $200,000 for all sectors, and will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. This means that both from the micro to the medium-sized business, the expectation is that the business will provide us with a business plan for us to understand how that business has now adopted and is now going to, prepare itself to move forward in the new dispensation that we have. So we know it's not business as usual. We know it's not, going to end in January. But the businesses that now have to adapt, we will, one, look at your previous 2 sets of financial statements, but more importantly, look at a simple business plan that will indicate how you intend to be able to generate the revenue that will see the repayment of our facility, but also to ensure that you continue to be viable. One of the things that we have to bear in mind is that the facility is not necessarily to make businesses which were not viable before COVID to become viable, unless there's a drastic turnaround plan, unless there's a drastic change in their business model. The facility is not necessarily for those businesses that were not viable before COVID. How does the grant work? The grant is up to 15% of the loan amount, which should be the total project cost. And it would be $5,000, up to $5,000 in total for the micro businesses, $10,000 for small businesses, and $20,000 for medium-sized businesses. Yeah. What is the collateral? We have been able to negotiate with the World Bank to provide up to $50,000 unsecured. So it means that persons can access these facilities up to $50,000 unsecured. Beyond that, we would be accepting at the traditional security, which would include the normal bills of sale on your plant or equipment. It could include a first or second hypothec on your business. It would, we have in the past accepted guarantors up to $40,000. We will accept, obviously, a cash lien, and also we will accept the assignment of government instruments, bonds, treasury bills, and so on, or a combination of all of the above. The intention is for us to see how we can turn around your applications within a 2-week period. What we have done is that we have created an application form on our website that will facilitate persons filling out the application form and scanning it and sending it back to us on email. We have a dedicated email address called mybank@sldb.lc, where persons can submit the application form along with their business plan and their financial statements. And we will then review and be in touch with you to see if there's anything else that we may need to require to do the analysis for you. This brings an end to the terms and the conditions and a brief description of the new CAF Business Recovery Program that the St. Lucia Development Bank is rolling out on behalf of the government of St. Lucia. One of the key things that the World Bank did ask that we did include, and they seem to have not put it on my slide, was that persons who access the fund will be required to attend the similar types of workshops that you have hosted, with our support. So it will be essential that persons will be required to go through this process. So at the end of the day, we're looking to ensure that persons are building a level of resiliency within their business, no matter what. So the intention is that if you access this, you must attend one of these business continuity workshops that highlights, the need to prepare and adapt for climate impact.